o'clock. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the ONCC meeting. Friday, November 5th, 2021 at 8 o'clock. This is a Zoom meeting and we will be following the Illinois state law concerning Zoom meetings. Can we now stand and recite the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. Mara, would you please call the roll?
Elizabeth Addison. Arlington Heights.
Here.
Bartlett. Bensonville.
Here.
Bloomingdale. City of Chicago.
Here.
Here, sorry.
No problem. Awards. Just a second. (36th Ward).
Here.
38th Ward. 39th Ward.
Here.
40th Ward.
Here.
41st Ward.
Here.
45th Ward. Cook County. Des Plaines.
Here.
Downers Grove. DuPage County. Elmhurst. Elmwood Park.
Here.
Franklin Park.
Here.
No, it's not us.
Oh, not us.
Glenview.
Here.
No, it was 84.
Hanover Park.
Village.
Okay.
Here. Don't talk.
Howard Heights.
Here.
Hoffman Estates.
This is the list of.
Itasca. Lincolnwood. Melrose Park.
Oh, we're else not there.
Mount Prospect. Niles.
Here.
Norridge.
Here.
North Lake.
Here.
Palatine. Park Ridge.
Here.
River Forest.
Here.
River Grove.
Here.
Rolling Meadows. Rosemont.
Here.
Schaumburg. Schiller Park.
Here, this is Brett Kriska filling in for Russ Klug. He's at a funeral.
Sure, thanks. South Barrington.
Here.
St. Charles. Stone Park.
Here.
Wayne. Wooddale.
School districts.
Now come the school districts. 2.
Here.
School District 7.
Here.
48.
Here.
53. 59.
Here.
64. 80. 81. 84.
Here. 81's here.
Thank you. 84 and a half.
Here.
85 and a half.
Here.
86.
Here.
87. 88. 89.
Here.
100.
Here.
214.
Here.
234. And 401.
Here.
I believe we have a quorum. Let me count quickly, but I think we're good.
All right, we do.
Hi. Sorry, Bartlett's also here. A little
Oh,
slow
thank
to
you.
unmute.
Okay, and if I missed anyone, you can send me a message in the chat.
All right, Mara, one thing I'd like to do before the end of the year is look into the different members that aren't making the meetings, and we got to get letters out to them, warning them of the jeopardy that they're in. Next, we have approval on minutes, October 1st, 2021 ONCC meeting minutes. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Don't move, so.
Second, Hanover Park.
A discussion, any amendments anybody would like to make to it? If not, call the roll for approval. Yeah.
Okay, I'm just gonna read the people who said they were present. If I miss anyone, send me a message in the chat. Arlington Heights,
Yes.
Bartlett,
Yes.
Bensonville,
Yes.
City of Chicago,
Yes.
36th Ward,
Yes.
38, oh, 30 is not here, 39th Ward,
Yes.
40th Ward,
Yes.
41st Ward,
Yes.
Cook County, not here, Des Plaines,
Here. Yes.
Elmwood Park,
Yes.
Glenview,
Yes.
Hanover Park,
Yes.
Harwood Heights,
Yes.
Niles,
Yes.
Norwich,
Yes.
Palatine. I'm sorry, I missed Northlake. Northlake,
Yes.
Park Ridge,
Yes.
River Forest,
Yes.
River Grove,
Yes.
Rosemont,
Yes.
Schiller Park,
Yes.
South Barrington,
Yes.
Stone Park,
Yes.
School District 2,
Yes.
7,
Yes.
48,
Yes.
59,
Yes.
81,
Yes.
84,
Yes.
84 and a half,
Yes.
85 and a half,
Yes.
86,
Yes.
89,
Yes.
100,
Yes.
214,
Yes.
401.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
All right, motion passes. Good, very good. Next on the agenda, report of the City of Chicago Department of Aviation. And first, if you recall last month, Ryan Anderson, Lambert, and Brown presented Airport 101, Part 1 to the members. This is going to be a continuation of that presentation. As you know, one of my priorities for the commission is to provide more educational opportunities for the general membership. Hopefully, this will help to improve your understanding of how the airport works on a day-to-day basis, so you can pass it on to your constituents. Ryan?
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Chairman. Again, we are continuing where we left off with Airport 101, and we'll be finishing up Part 2 today. At the last meeting, we discussed types of airports, ownership and operation, detail with air traffic control, their function, as well as the different types of airspace that are regulated across the United States. Today in Part 2, we'll be going over some basic airport operation fundamentals, as well as airport lighting aids and markings. We'll be discussing a little bit about how airports are funded, and we'll be finishing up with a very important piece of legislation, the National Environmental Policy Act, which plays a significant role in environmental review of airport projects. So first off, we're going to start with some very basics on why runways are named how they are. So airport runways are named according to their compass direction, which is rounded to the nearest 10 degrees. So depending on which direction an aircraft is facing, they would, depending on where they're either taking off or landing, the compass heading would have a specific degree. For instance, if an aircraft is facing to the north, it would have a compass heading of 360 degrees. If an aircraft is taking off to the north, that runway heading would be named 3-6. So for this instance, the 3-6, you would drop the 0, and so the runway would be 3-6, and then the opposite side or the reciprocal would be referred to as runway 18. The purpose of this is to allow the pilot to verify they are approaching the correct runway by looking at the compass, and especially at night or in bad visibility when the numbers on the ground may not be visible. So this allows the pilot to make sure that they are navigating correctly to the appropriate runway. And it also makes it easier when they are checking wind conditions, when they're on the runway, because they know exactly which direction they're facing. Another example here, if we have a runway that's directly running east-west, so one direction would be facing east 090, and the opposite direction would be facing west 270. So the runway end, if you imagine an aircraft sitting on the west end going to take off to the east, that runway end would be named 09 or 9. And the opposite would be named 27. Another example, similar to our crosswind runways here at O'Hare, if we had a runway facing to the northwest and the southwest, the compass heading would be 043 degrees facing to the northeast and 223 degrees facing to the southwest. So again, if I'm an aircraft sitting on the southwest portion of the runway, looking to take off to the northeast, that portion of the runway end would be named 04, and the opposite would be 22. So again, rounded to the nearest 10 degrees, you can add or subtract 180 degrees to get the opposite direction. Now, when we have an airport such as O'Hare International Airport with a very complex set of parallel runways, we have to get into some variations in the naming conventions. So when we have parallel runways, let's say we have 2, we would use a left or right designation. When we have 3 parallel runways, we would use left, right, and center. For instance, on the north end, we have runway 9 left, 9 center, and 9 right. When we have 6 parallel runways, which is a very unique situation here in Chicago, the FAA had decided that in order to avoid any confusion with adding left, rights, and centers, in additional to calling them all 9s, the safest decision was to round up the heading to 10. And so on the south airfield, we have 10 left, 10 center, and 10 right. So we have 6 parallel runways split into 3 left, center, and rights, depending on if you're on the north airfield or the south airfield. And the reciprocal is the same on the east side of the airport, with the 27 left, center, and right, as well as 28 left, center, and right. Closed runways or unusable runways would have a big yellow X on that. And that is something the airport has used over the last several decades with the major airport construction projects, with many of the runways, existing runways, being closed for construction or being closed for decommissioning. The big yellow X would be used on the runway marking. Another basic operation for airports is the circuit pattern. So when an aircraft is flying in the what we refer to as the pattern at an airport, when it is in the area of air traffic where they're planning to land or take off, all of that is dictated by wind direction. As we've mentioned many times in the past, aircraft need to take off or land into the wind as much as feasible. And so the traffic pattern is named based on wind. And so if an aircraft is taking off from the runway in the pattern, the pattern name would be the upwind as they're departing. If they're turning back, that would be a crosswind. An aircraft that is entering the pattern for landing would enter the downwind. The left turn there towards the runway would be called the base, and the turn towards the runway for the actual landing would be referred to as the final. And so these are some of the words that get used sometimes when it referring to air traffic patterns. We'll talk about an aircraft on final or on downwind. Even at O'Hare, this traffic pattern, you can see as the aircraft fly the downwind. Maybe if they're landing on our 27 runways, they'll fly the downwind down over the lake, turn their base over the lake, and then turn the final as they come back across the lake and fly and land into O'Hare. So these are just some of the basic terms that get used quite a bit, and we just want to make sure everyone's familiar with what we're talking about. Another aspect of airports is the signage system, runway lights and markings. All these markings serve to set a safety standard for pilots to follow. There are numerous wayfinding signs across the airport that all have different meanings. I'm not going to go into all of them, but basically the intent is that as if I'm a pilot landing at an airport, all the signage is the same no matter what airport I'm landing at. So there's no confusion as to what each sign is supposed to mean. So I know exactly where I'm at or where I'm supposed to be. And this can be at O'Hare, this can be at LAX. It doesn't matter what airport, all the signage is standardized by the FAA. To allow for pilots to follow and avoid any confusion as to their whereabouts on the airport, especially on the ground as they're taxiing, such as at an airport like O'Hare with a lot of runways. It's important to make sure all the ground markings are made clear so pilots avoid wandering into any areas that may be unsafe. Airports also use standardized lighting and ground markings to provide direction and identification to all air and ground crews. This assists pilots in differentiating at night between airport runways and nearby freeways or buildings. Airports have what's called a rotating beacon. These beacons usually flash green and white to indicate a civilian airport, and you can see those from miles away. They're visible from the air long before the entire airport actually comes into view. This helps pilots at night quickly identify the areas of the runway as well. Excuse me. With those green light runway thresholds, those are very visible to allow the pilot to quickly identify where the beginning of the runway is. Red lights mark the ends of the runways and also indicate obstructions. Blue lights run alongside the taxiways, while runways have white or yellow lights marking their edges. And again, all of these markings and lights serve to set a safety standard for all pilots to follow. They're standardized across all airports, so they're the same lights are used. Doesn't matter which airport you're at. The only difference is the complexity of the runway that may have more lights than others. Airport funding. There are various ways that airports receive funding for projects. One of them is the passenger facility charge. I'm sure most of you have traveled in the air and have bought a ticket and have seen a charge on your ticket called the PFC. The US Congress enacted a law that allows airports to collect a fee. Right now it's up to $4.50 for each passenger. Those fees are specifically to be used by the airports to fund FAA approved airport improvement projects. So each paying passenger traveling out of an airport may incur a fee of up to $450 per ticket. There's also customer facility charges. Those are typically used by rental car companies. If they have for instance, a consolidated rental car facility that needs to be funded, you may see that charge on your rental car fee. There's also general airport revenue, just the revenue that's generated by the landing fees, passengers coming through the airport, parking. There's also grants from the federal level, state and local, as well as bonds. Just like the municipalities you represent, the airport is able to initiate bonds to help fund certain projects at the airport. But one thing, it is important to note that O'Hare is not funded by the city of Chicago or any of the taxes that are incurred in the city of Chicago. None of that goes to the airport. The airport is solely funded independently by all these means. Okay, last piece here is the National Environmental Policy Act, and this is something important to go over because it has played a significant role in a lot of especially the O'Hare Modernization Program, as well as the Interim Flight Quiet Program and the upcoming Flight Quiet Program once the Flight Quiet Committee does complete their planning process and develop a plan for submittal for approval. The NEPA became law in 1970 and established a national policy for protecting the environment. It created the Council on Environmental Quality as the environmental policy arm of the federal government. So what does this mean? It means that all federal agencies need to integrate environmental values into their decision-making process by considering the environmental impacts of their proposed actions and reasonable alternatives to those actions. And so the Department of Transportation and the Federal Aviation Administration are both federal agencies and must comply with the tenets of NEPA. So how does FAA comply with NEPA? They have two specific orders, FAA Order 5050.4B, which is implementing instructions for airport projects, as well as Order 1050.1F, policies and procedures for considering environmental impacts. These two orders are important because when it comes to any questions dealing with the review of a federal action, the FAA will point to these two orders when referencing your questions. So the FAA has three NEPA review documents. Some of these may be familiar to you, some of them may be not. So they go from least to most complex here in order. The categorical exclusion is the least complex. The next one is the environmental assessment, and then the environmental impact statement, which is the most complex. The O'Hare Modernization Program did undergo a full environmental impact statement. It was a very robust and thorough review, which most of you should be familiar with. That was published back in 2005, September of 2005. And actually coming up in our agenda here, we'll be talking about the last piece of that actual airfield modernization project that is coming to completion here in December. So this has been, this topic has dominated this committee for quite some time now, since we've been working on implementing the actual modernization program since 2005. So that completes Airport 101 Part 2. We do have an Airport 201 that goes into much greater detail regarding airport operations and air traffic control that we've given at Tech Committee. I believe this, as well as 201, are available. Maura is happy to disseminate those as well as post those on the website. So if there's any questions.
If none, thank you, Ryan. We may proceed to B, September 2021 ANMS report. Is that your again, Ryan, or is that Aaron?
That is me again, Chairman. Let me,
Okay.
pull it up. All right, the September monthly airport noise management system report. Hopefully everyone sees it on their screen. So we have an updated monthly report for you, updated through September 2021. Pages 1 through 3 provide highlights and overview of the reports for September. On page 1, we have updated aircraft operations summary, updated through September of 2021. This is based on the FAA's air traffic activity data system. For the month of September, we saw 66,778 operations. This is about a 3% decrease compared to August of 2021. However, that's well over 50% increase of September of last year, while we were still recovering from the impacts of the pandemic. Total operations through 2021 is 492,667. Page 2, top of page 2, we have our wind summary. Again, wind is the key factor influencing runway use and operation. The diagram in the upper right shows the number of instances of wind occurrences by direction. As you can see, we had quite a bit of wind instances out of the south and southwest, and the rest was a bit variable and sporadic for the month of September. As a result, we were almost split west flow and east flow for the month of September, 51% west flow, 49% east flow. And then that dictated our runway use for the month, which is highlighted below. Most used departure runway was 28 right with 34%. Most used arrival runway was 10 center with 22%. Page 3 shows our complaints by month total, updated for September of 2021. For the month of September, we saw 33,086 complaints made by verifiable households to the city's noise complaint system. That's actually up 10% compared to August. I just mentioned we were down in operations compared to August, but we did see a bit of an increase in the number of complaints. Our total complaints were 219,191 through September for this year. We'll go over complaints in more detail at the complaints report towards the end. Page 4 is our aircraft fleet mix report, where we break down the different types of aircraft that operate at O'Hare for the month of September. We have regional aircraft, which represented 51.4% of the operations, narrow body aircraft, 38.3% of the operations, and wide body aircraft representing 9.3% of the total operations for the month of September. The average operations per day were 2,213. 10% of those occurred during the nighttime hours, as defined as 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. Page 5 is our runway use report for daytime. The runway use report shows the average daily departures and arrivals for the month, comparing it to the previous month as well as the 12-month average. Towards the bottom, you will see our percentage arrival and departure utilization. For the month of September, we saw 34% of the departures utilizing runway 28 right and west flow, and 25% of the departures on 10 left in east flow, as well as 9 center. It is important to note that runway 9 right, 27 left, again, is closed for construction of the extension. That 24% of those departures operating off of 9 center would typically go to 9 right. And so we anticipate that being changed next year. And I'll talk about that more on the next item in the agenda. Percentage utilization for arrivals, 17% on 27 right, 27 center, and 18% on 28 center in West Flow. On the opposite side, 21% of the arrivals on 10 center, and then 18% on 9 left, and 9% on 10 right. Page 6 is our runway use report for nighttime, where we show the runway use for the nighttime hours of 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. During the nighttime hours, it was a similar runway use utilization. 28 right utilized 35% for the departures in West Flow. In East Flow, 10 left at 29%. On the arrival side, 10 center was our most used arrival runway at 29%, and 28 center on the opposite side at 24%. Page 7 shows our permanent noise monitors locations around the airport, all 37 of our current permanent noise monitors. Page 8 is the first half of our aircraft noise report, showing the aircraft day-night average sound level for each of our noise monitors, updated through September of 2021. The column under September 2021 is color-coded based on an increase or decrease in decibel level compared to the same month of the previous year. Again, as a reminder, we are comparing to September of 2020, where we were still recovering the operation levels due to the COVID pandemic. And so we fully expect to see majority of the monitors showing an increase. So again, majority of the monitors showing an increase of 1 decibel or more, therefore color-coded red for the month of September. Page 9 is the second half of the report, showing the remaining permanent noise monitors. Again, majority of these sites showing an increase of 1 decibel or more from the same month from the previous year. So no surprises on the number of reds. We do have a few blacks, which indicate that they did not increase 1 decibel, nor did they decrease more than 1 decibel. So some of the sites showing similar noise levels to September of 2020. Page 10 is our noise complaint report for September 2021, where we show the number of verifiable households that made noise complaints, not only in September, but the previous 2 months, July and August. On the far right, on the bottom, you'll see our total for verifiable number of households that made complaints in September was 478. That was up slightly compared to August and July. As I mentioned, the operation levels were down compared to those 2 months, but we did see an increase in the number of complaints. Total complaints were 33,086 for September of 2021. The method of complaint is broken down by website, app, and telephone. By far, the number of people making complaints utilized the website. The nature of complaint, 82% was aircraft noise, and the time of complaint, daytime 78.7%, nighttime 21.3%. Page 11 shows the geographical location of all of the noise complaints made by verifiable households for the month of September. As you can see, quite a bit along the east-west of the airport. Again, the airport, as I mentioned at the beginning, the airport was almost split as far as East Flow or West Flow, but we do see quite a bit of concentrated complaints on the east side of the airport, especially in Park Ridge, Rosemont, Ward 41. That's most likely due to the arrivals and departures for one of our newer runways, 9 Center, 27 Center. The rest of the complaints are spread throughout in a general area based on the operations that we've seen. So no major surprises for complaints for September 2021. And that completes the Airport Noise Management System report for September.
Thank you, Ryan. If there aren't any questions, lastly, we'll be looking at runway 9 right, 27 left, and its reopening.
Yes, Chairman. As I mentioned.
Oh, wait, just a second. Frank's got a question. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Anderson, for the purpose of assessing the efficacy of the sound insulation program, do you have statistics on whether or not complaints are still coming from the homes that are insulated and have new windows?
Yeah, we have that request from you from our technical committee meeting. And so we are looking at breaking that down to show for, at least for the nighttime complaints that we reported on for second quarter of 2021. And so we'll have that for you, if not in advance of the next technical committee meeting or shortly thereafter.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Ryan, you can continue.
Okay, we wanted to discuss the reopening of runway 9 right, 27 left. Again, as we've talked quite a bit about, runway 9 right, 27 left has been undergoing an extension project this past year. This is the last major piece of the airfield construction project known as the O'Hare Modernization Program. So this has been a long time coming. This program started in 2005, and this extension project represents the final piece of that realignment of the airfield to make O'Hare a much more safer and efficient airfield with the 6 parallel runway system. 9 right, 27 left will reopen December 2nd of this year. So we're a little under a month away. The extended runway will be 11,260 feet long. It will remain 150 feet wide. It will be a airplane design group 5 runway. That's able to accommodate the majority of aircraft that fly today. There, except for some of the largest aircraft, such as the Airbus A380 or the Boeing 747-800. Those types of aircraft are very large and can be accommodated on our runways 9 center and 10 center. Those are airplane design group 6 runways. However, this runway can accommodate the vast majority. Although we say the Boeing 747-800 is a design group 6 aircraft, there are several other variations of Boeing 747s that can be accommodated on this runway. So I wouldn't take that as seeing as an indication that you will not see jumbo jets on this runway. You will. It's just the exception for the very extremely large jets. The FAA still needs to install navigational aids needed for certain arrivals, also referred to as the instrument landing system. The Category 1 ILS is scheduled for July of next year. As you recall, there was a bit of a delay when we opened 9 center, 27 center with those installation of navigational aids that resulted in some of the utilization being delayed after the runway was open. However, there's an exception here with 9 right and 27 left. This runway is designed in the airfield to operate as a departure runway. The navigational aids that are still pending are for arrivals. So we fully expect this runway, once it reopens, to be utilized for departures. And it still can be utilized for arrivals in clear weather conditions. There is other arrival navigational equipment that allows arrivals on that runway, but we expect no significant arrivals until later next year. And so with that, I wanted to talk about the daytime runway configurations that now that we have this final piece of the OMP, how the airfield will be operating moving forward. And so we have two diagrams that you should all be familiar with, the west flow and the east flow. On the left side, we have the west flow, and this will be the dominant airfield configuration when we're in west flow, where we'll have three simultaneous arrival runways, runway 27 right, 27 center, and 28 center. And then our two departure runways, 27 left and 28 right, as well as 22 left. And so these will be the primary this will be the primary configuration of runway utilization when we're in west flow during daytime hours. On the right side, we have east flow. And so in east flow, we have a little bit of a different configuration. For the departures, we'll be using those same two runways as in west flow, just in the opposite direction. So again, runway 9 right, 27 left, and runway 10 left, 28 right were designed primarily to be utilized as departure runways. But on the arrival side, air traffic will be using a combination of runways depending on traffic demands. And so they will only be using 3 runways at a time. So don't take this diagram as an indication that you'll be seeing 4 simultaneous arrivals. They'll only be using 3 runways for arrivals at a time, but they do have multiple arrival combinations that they can use, including 9 left, 9 center, 10 center, 9 left, 9 center, 10 right, or 9 left, 10 center, 10 right, 9 center, 10 center, and 10 right. Now, the FAA air traffic has said that the 9 left, 10 center, 10 right, and the 9 center, 10 center, 10 right combinations will be preferred and decided upon based on the traffic demands at the time. But all 4 of those runways, I would expect to see arrivals on moving forward after December of this year. So the big change after we reopen 9 right, 27 left is going to be that shift from departures on runway 9 center in east flow back down to 9 right in east flow once that runway reopens. So 9 center has been used for departures in east flow while that runway is closed for the extension. So one of the big changes is going to be moving those departures back down to runway 9 right once the runway reopens in December for the daytime hours. So this will be the primary configurations moving forward after this year. And so if there are any questions.
Ryan, how much of a tailwind is the tower willing to accept before switching east-west flow?
That is a good question, and I would refer that to the FAA, and we'd be happy to pose that question to them.
Because I believe in Fly Quiet, we used to say we accept a 5-knot tailwind.
We would accept a 5-knot tailwind, but I guess so. Your question is, at what point would the airport switch flows? Which that might be different. So, you know, an aircraft typically would be able to handle a 5-knot tailwind, but air traffic may have a different threshold depending on the wind conditions. They may not be looking at the current winds. They may be looking at the winds coming up. So it could be, you know, 8 or 7 knots that the winds are at that they start to switch over. But that's a good question. I don't know the exact answer, and we'll look into that.
I'm sure the answer is nuanced. I guess I'm leading you into, in Fly Quiet, we try to keep a 50-50 balance. Is there a prerogative in non-Fly Quiet hours to keep a balance of east versus west flow?
Well, there is no driver other than the wind. If that answers your question.
Any other questions? All right, Ryan. Are you finished, Ryan?
I am, unless there are any other questions.
I don't see any other questions, so we will continue.
Thank you.
Next is my report, the report from the chair. I don't have much to report on for the previous month, other than that we've been involved in a lot of small administrative details that have to be taken care of, and that any new administration would have to deal with, and that's what we're doing. That's what we've been doing last month, and that's what we'll be doing next month. But we do plan to have a very busy November. We are working on scheduling a leadership meeting with the FAA in the coming weeks, and look forward to reporting back to you on that. We are continuing to work on our strategic initiatives and identified in the executive committee, and we'll update you on those initiatives as information becomes available. And lastly, I believe, Moira, next week there's going to be a cargo meeting that some of us will be attending. That's all I have. Next is going to be the reports of the standing committee. And if my report's too short, please let me know and I will say something else. If not, we'll continue. I just told you what I thought you needed to know. Report from the standing committees, ad hoc committee. First is the Fly Quiet Committee. Newly elected vice chair of the Fly Quiet Committee, Alderman Bob Dunn of Elmhurst, will give us an update on the committee's progress. Bob?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to give a quick update on the last meeting of the Fly Quiet Committee, which was on last Tuesday. The Fly Quiet Committee met on October 28th. Our discussion focused on a review of Alternative H. We got through Alternative B, two meetings prior to that, and we're in a review of Alternative H right now. Going through the primary departure headings for each of the configurations. There's 6 different configurations, generally having 2 departures off of each. We made it through all of them, but the final week, the final configuration on runway 27L, so that still needs to be clarified and will be done at the next meeting. So the vote on that was deferred till the next meeting in November. We expect to move on to secondary configurations for Alternative H at that meeting as well. We also may revisit Alternative B in terms of the primary departure headings to just make sure they're lining up with our same assumptions that we are discussing in Alternative H. At this meeting, the committee voted to elect a vice chair, which I was selected for, which is why I'm speaking this morning. Karen could not attend the meeting this morning. So I'd like to thank the committee chair, Karen Robles, for her leadership, and my thanks to the committee for their dedication and involvement in this effort in developing the Fly Quiet program going forward. Thanks.
Thank you, Bob. Next, technical committee. Technical committee convened in October. Chairman Evan Summers, can you give us your report?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, we met on October 19th. We went through our normal rigmarole of noise updates, COVID-19 updates, Fly Quiet reports, and we made significant progress on the Fly Quiet Awards. So we determined the 3 main categories that the Fly Quiet Awards will look at. We've sent that back to Landenberg Brown to come up with the weighting schedule for how we're going to weight the Fly Quiet Awards, and we're looking forward to a presentation on a draft Fly Quiet Awards at the next meeting. That concludes my report, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Next, ad hoc budget committee, Dr. Cooper. I understand we are ready to take action on FY 2022 budget. Can you give us an update and an overview? Ray?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. Yes, we will be approving the budget, but the budget committee first needs to approve the minutes of their work preparing this budget. I'd like to thank Jennifer Kelso, Brian Gazer, Russell Klug, John Kunkel, Dennis Ryan on the committee. I'd also like to thank Joe Annunzio and Aaron Frame who attended the meetings. And I'd like to give a special thanks to Mara for getting all the research together. So I will accept a motion to approve the meeting minutes for the 3 meetings we had combined in one approval. If somebody from the committee would make that
So
motion.
moved by Norwich.
Second by River Grove.
Okay, Mari, call the roll, please.
Yes, and just to clarify, only the committee members will be approving these minutes from the committee meetings. This is just, they don't have another meeting scheduled, so we needed to take care of that here. So just for clarification. Dr. Cooper,
Yes.
Brian Gazer,
Yes.
Trustee Klug is not here. Dr. Kelso? Not here. Kunkel?
Yes.
Kunkel?
Yep.
And Dennis Ryan?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you.
Okay, motion carries. Do you have the budget to put up?
Yes, I do. 1 second.
Mari, you want to give the explanation for this and then I can fill in at the end.
Okay, sorry. So the bottom line, the total amount that we receive has not changed. It's the same at 256,000. That's our allocation. And really, we just kind of tried to tighten things up. I want to thank Mr. Frame from the City of Chicago for his assistance and helping pull this together. Again, just kind of organizing things a little differently, clarifying some items that weren't included and removing some that weren't really being used. Just kind of cleaning things up. The really biggest change is under the meeting expenses, we consolidated the venue expenses and refreshment expenses and did reduce the refreshment expenses and the meeting expenses in order to allow for some funding for a 25th anniversary celebration to take place in 2022. The actual anniversary was in 2021, but we weren't able to celebrate due to COVID. So we're hoping to be able to do that in 2022. But really that's kind of the meat of it. Dr. Cooper, I don't know if you want to add anything.
No, just again, the real number that we have to work with is at the bottom, 256,000. Been the same for a number of years. We always have a balanced budget. So it just took a little longer this time because of the changeover with the new acting executive director. So with that, I'll take a motion, and after we make the motion in a second, and anyone has questions, you can do that.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Okay, any questions? Hearing none, please take the roll.
Addison's not here. Arlington Heights,
Yes.
Bartlett,
Yes.
Bensonville,
Yes.
Bloomingdale, City of Chicago,
Yes.
36th Ward,
Yes.
38th Ward,
Yes.
39th Ward,
Yes.
40th Ward,
Yes.
41st Ward,
Yes.
Des Plaines,
Yes.
Elmhurst,
Yes.
Elmwood Park, Glenview,
Yes.
Hanover Park,
Yes.
Harwood Heights,
Yes.
Melrose Park,
Yes.
Niles,
Yes.
Norwich,
Yes.
North Lake,
Yes.
Park Ridge,
Yes.
River Forest,
Yes.
River Grove,
yes,
Rosemont,
Yes.
Schiller Park,
Yes.
South Barrington,
Yes.
Stone Park, Wooddale,
Yes.
School District 2,
Yes.
7,
Yes.
48,
Yes.
59,
Yes.
81,
Yes.
84,
Yes.
84 and a half,
Yes.
85 and a half,
Yes.
86,
yes,
88,
Yes.
89,
Yes.
100,
Yes.
214,
Yes.
401.
Yes.
Thank you.
Passes?
Yes,
motion
sorry.
carries.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Next, we have report from ONCC Interim Director.
Thank you.
Moira,
Yes.
you're on again?
So we have the, sorry, one second. The proposed 2022 meeting schedule. I did have one change to the one that was previously sent out. There was a residential sound meeting added for March 9th of 2022. And just to clarify, there's some confusion. The general membership only needs to attend the general meetings. You only have to attend the committee meetings if you're a member of that committee. So if anyone has any questions about that, feel free to contact me. But once this is approved, it will be posted to the website and available there, and we'll also send it out to all the members and make sure everyone has it. Are there any questions?
Does anybody want to make a motion to approve the?
I'll make a motion, we accept the director's report.
I'll second
the-
that, Hanover Park.
Sorry, this is just for the schedule because we still have to do the financial report. So can you modify the motion to accept the 2022 meeting schedule?
Yes.
Thank you. And Mr. Kunkel, you said second?
Yes, seconded.
Thank you. Okay, we'll try to do this quick, sorry. Arlington Heights,
Yes.
Bartlett, Bensonville,
Yes.
Bloomingdale, City of Chicago,
Yes.
Des Plaines,
Yes.
Elmhurst, Elmwood
Yes.
Park, thank you. Elmwood Park, Glenview,
Yes.
Hanover Park,
Yes.
Harwood Heights,
Yes.
Hoffman is, okay,
Yes,
thank you.
Harwood Heights.
Thanks. Got it. Melrose Park, Niles,
Yes.
Norwich,
Yes.
North Lake,
Yes.
Palatine,
Yes.
Park Ridge,
Yes.
River Forest,
Yes.
River Grove,
Yes.
Rosemont,
Yes.
Schiller Park,
Yes.
South Barrington,
Yes.
Stone Park, Wooddale,
Yes.
School District 2,
Yes.
7,
Yes.
48,
Yes.
59,
Yes.
81,
Yes.
84,
Yes.
84 and a half,
Yes.
85,
85 and a half. Yes.
Yes.
Sure.
I'm going cross-eyed here. 86,
Yes.
88,
Yes.
89,
Yes.
100,
Yes.
214,
Yes.
and 401.
Yes.
And sorry, I skipped the words. 36. Word 36.
Yes.
38. Thank you. 38,
Yes.
39,
Yes.
40,
Yes.
41.
Yes.
Okay, did I miss anyone?
Melrose Park, please. Yes.
Thank you. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
That's
Okay.
approved.
Yes, thank you. Okay, and one more. I need to report expenses for the month of September in the amount of $220. Can I get a motion to approve the financial report for September 2021?
I'll move so.
Second.
All right. Almost the last one. Arlington Heights. I think he had to leave. Bensonville. I'm sorry, Bartlett. Bensonville.
Yes.
Bloomingdale.
Yes.
City of Chicago.
Yes.
36th Ward.
Yes.
38th Ward.
Yes.
39th Ward.
Yes.
40th Ward.
Yes.
41st Ward.
Yes.
Des Plaines.
Yes.
Elmhurst.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. Elmwood Park, I think. Glenview.
Yes.
Hanover Park. Harwood Heights.
Yes.
Melrose Park.
Yes.
Niles.
Yes.
North Lake.
Yes.
Norwich.
Yes.
Palatine.
Yes.
Park Ridge.
Yes.
River Forest. River Grove.
Yes.
Rosemont.
Yes.
Schiller Park.
Yes.
South Barrington.
Yes.
Stone Park. Wooddale.
Yes.
School District 2.
Yes.
7.
Yes.
48.
Yes.
59. 81.
Yes.
84.
Yes.
84 and a half.
Yes.
85 and a half.
Yes.
86. 88. 89.
Yes.
100.
Yes.
214.
Yes.
401.
Yes.
Did I miss anyone? I got, okay, 59. I see you. Thank you.
86 votes yes.
Thank you. Okay, motion carries.
88 voted yes as well.
Okay, thank you. Got it. Okay, thank you. That concludes my report. Our next meeting is January 14th, 2022. And as I mentioned, I will be sending out this, the 2022 meeting schedule. So if you don't see it, please do let me know. Thank you. Back
Next
to
is,
you, Joe.
thank you, Maura. Next is our allotted time for comments from the ONCC members. Any comments from the members?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I was going to ask if it would be something we could think about to enlist the services of a lobby in Washington to help us get some additional funds for sound insulation program. And just something to talk about and see if it might help us expand the FAA contours that would actually provide sound insulation. So if there's anyone else that might agree with that, maybe we could talk and get something going on it.
Frank, I'll send it to the executive committee and we'll see what they have to say. We'll get back.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
Anybody else? If not, comments from the audience.
Mr. Dwyer does have a comment.
Okay, Dan?
And- Sorry,
go ahead, Laura.
Ryan. Ryan, I don't know if you saw my message, but Dan was asking if you could put up the daytime runway configuration slide that was up earlier.
Sure.
Thanks.
Thank you. That was quick. Yeah, thank you, Chair. Some concerns about this slide because what we're showing in East Flow isn't in line with the OMP projections. You have those two triple arrivals with the asterisks, both of which use 10R, but only either 9 left or 9C. So just one arrival runway in the North Airfield. I guess my question is this due to an efficiency issue with land and hold short in East Flow? I can't think of another reason to only use one North Airfield arrival runway.
That would be a question for FAA air traffic.
Okay, I guess I'll ask if we can ask that because residents on the west side of the airport had much different expectations than what's shown in this graphic. So it does seem to be a fairly substantial change from the OMP projections. So I guess what I'd say, oh, go ahead. Sorry, John.
Dan, we're going to be meeting with the FAA within the next couple of weeks. And Ryan, keep that question with you and we'll bring it up when we see them.
Will do.
We'll get back to everybody.
All right, I guess I'll finish my comment to the committee. At least my impression of this is it appears it's going to take some time for OMP to adapt to the current safety culture. Keeping in mind, this is a 20-year-old airfield design, which does rely on active runway crossings. And this is something that's been remediated by its peers on which this design was based, those being Atlanta and Dallas-Fort Worth. So I guess the good news is you all have job security well beyond OMP. I guess that's bad news depending on your perspective. Thank you.
Well, thank you for the comment. Any other comments? If not, if you'll just look down at upcoming meetings, we have a residential meeting on November 10th, technical meeting on the 16th, and a Fly Quiet meeting on the 18th. Before you adjourn, I'd just like to mention that we won't see each other again until after the holidays. So I hope everybody has a good holiday and we all get a chance to see each other again back in January. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I'll move so.
Second.
All right, last time. I think Arlington Heights had to leave, so Bartlett, Bentonville,
Yes.
Bloomingdale,
Yes.
City of Chicago,
Yes.
36th Ward,
Yes.
38th Ward,
Yes.
39th Ward,
Yes.
40th Ward,
Yes.
41st Ward,
Yes.
Des Plaines,
Yes.
Elmhurst,
Yes.
Glenview,
Yes.
Hanover Park,
Yes.
Harwood Heights,
Yes.
Melrose Park,
Yes.
Niles,
Yes.
Norwich,
Yes.
North Lake,
Yes.
Palatine,
Yes.
Park Ridge,
Yes.
River Forest, River Grove,
Yes.
Rosemont,
Yes.
Schiller Park,
Yes.
South Barrington,
Yes.
Wooddale,
Yes.
School District 2,
Yes.
7,
Yes.
48,
Yes.
59,
Yes.
81,
Yes.
84,
Yes.
84 and a half,
Yes.
85 and a half,
Yes.
86,
Yes.
88,
Yes.
80, thank you, 89,
Yes.
100,
Yes.
214,
Yes.
and 401.
Yes.
We are adjourned.
Thank you, everybody, for attending.
Thank you.
Bye.
Aye.